Turkey is aware of its responsibilities stemming from the European Convention on Human Rights.
Osman Kavala was first arrested over criminal charges related to the 2013 Gezi protests. He was later remanded into custody by an Istanbul court as part of a probe into the 2016 defeated coup in Turkey, with prosecutors accusing him of spying. Last week, a Turkish court ruled to keep Kavala in prison, extending his 4-year detention.
We view it as an inconsistent approach to regularly keep the Kavala judgment on the agenda, while there are older judgments concerning a variety of issues which are yet to be executed by other states.
Many countries' leaders around the world talk about common values, talk about democracy and self-claim, and some claim that they are champions of democracy. But what does democracy mean when it comes to your foreign policy? On November the 16th, US President Joe Biden issued a blanket ban on all Nicaraguan officials, claiming the elections were rigged in favor of incumbent President Daniel Ortega. Firstly, no proof was furnished. And secondly, is it accepted practice for countries to intervene like this? Let's go back to mid-October when the US, along with 9 other countries, issued a statement that someone in the judiciary system of Turkey be released. Now the same questions arise. Why do Western countries feel it's their position to intervene? Is it a cultural issue? Is it cultural pressure? If the US put this much effort to protect the rule of law of, say, the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, we'd see some balance. Joining me now to talk about Western common values is author and former ambassador for Turkey, Mr. Aydin Nurhan. Aydin, thanks for joining me here on A News. It's always a pleasure to see you. This is a very interesting topic, and I'd like to sort of get started with you on this. First of all, there seems to be this cultural pressure that the West, let's call the West in inverted commas, I don't like to use my fingers too much, but the West seem to have their views on what they believe is the right way to live and seem to force these values on the rest of the world. Why is that?
Now, we have different civilizations in the world. We had many are not with us now. So civilizations claim to be universal and eternal, but they are not. Hearts of civilizations are values and lifestyles. And civilizations, thinking they are the best, try to impose their values and lifestyles on other civilizations. That is why Sam Huntington's book created a lot of controversy in the global village. So civilizations are different and not universal. Still yet, in our day, Western civilization is the dominant civilization. We have to accept that. Especially information technology revolution brings the new generations of the world together, in especially lifestyles, if not values yet. Still yet, we have the fusion and fission in the world. Fusion means we as persons or as societies would like to be accepted into bigger groups. That's fusion, psychological need to be among a group. And then we have fission, means trying to be ourselves, unique. So the new generations, these two factors will be working on them, especially on the internet. So what we can look for is lowest common denominators for harmony in our global village. That is what we need, but we don't want the imposition of Western values on the whole world. That would be arrogance. if not ignorance. Many Western politicians speak about our values, our lifestyle. And if a non-Western statesman, politician, is not Westernized enough, they see them as threats to their values and lifestyle. This is especially so for the Muslim countries. So what can we do about it? This is arrogance, it is ignorance, and the Western leaders say their values are there. Yet, for instance, let me give you an example of Ottoman civilization. For the Ottomans, capital accumulation was a threat to political authority, and they didn't want it. Now, for the West, what we see today is, yes, dollar trillionaires, businessmen, are becoming a threat to political authority in Western democracies. Another thing in Western democracies is the interest groups corrupting Western democracies. For instance, these were the civilizational differences of the Turks with the West. But of course, it's invading Turkish politics nowadays too.
Okay, Ayhan, let's take this a bit slower because we've sort of jumped a little bit ahead there. All right. I mean, back, I don't know, in the 60s and 70s, it was so open and normal for countries and people even to accept other people's cultures. And in fact, it was talked about. You know, we talk about, oh, you know, they're from India, they have a different culture. They're from Thailand, they have a different culture. Yet these days, we see more and more countries, I want to call them Western countries, but let's just call them who they are, the United States, people like the United States, or big, powerful countries, who impose their values, their thoughts, the way that they think life should be lived, and this leads to the growth of Islamophobia, xenophobia. When did this all change?
Now, this is the best question, of course. The Ottomans, like the Western countries, had two classes. You know, the West had capitalists versus the labor. And especially in the 19th century, they started clashing. So Turkish system was different. British the historian Arnold Toynbee says that the Ottoman devşirme system, elite ruling system, was the nearest to Plato's republican system ideal. So the devşirmes, the ruling class, had nothing to do with the rule. They had a closed circuit cultural system. And they ruled until 21st century because the Ottoman bureaucracy seamlessly continued with the Republic, Ottoman bureaucratic system, until AK Party came to power. And what AK Party did was the peasant society, 90% peasant society, became 93% burgher society, bourgeois society, citizen society. So what happened then was these peasants started asking for their rights. What did they have? Their values. The peasant had tradition, millennial tradition, and religion with it. So when the peasant came to the city, earlier they were being digested by the system until the second half of the 20th century. But after that, industrialization and swift urbanization, they brought their values and religion with them. That is the problem. Then the system could not digest them. And with AK Party, the bureaucracy was overcome. So the peasants overtook the state and routed the military to where it belonged, to its barracks.
Indeed.
Now, the Western countries, for them, the military was the guardian of Western values. So, loss of military mandate, dictatorial mandate, in fact, from Turkish politics, the West lamented the loss of Turkish military. Turks come to power with their traditional values. West sees that as a threat. Turkish democracy will bring its Islamic color, millennial rural color with it. West hates this. So naturally, West opposes Turkish democracy. West opposes, I challenge the West here. West is not pro-democracy in especially Muslim countries. Look, Nicaragua, same thing. They oppose any rule that is not westernized enough, that is not a Western clone. The Turks coming from the rural periphery, what we call, some sociologists call them periphery. So the center and periphery clash. So the rural comes with its values and telling to the young Turkish generation, westernizers, we will not be Western clones like you. We will come with our own millennial values. We will come with our own traditions, millennial traditions, and we will evolve our Muslim democratic parties like Christian democratic parties. But the West doesn't let it. That's what we saw in Egypt. That we saw what we saw with military coups in Turkey. They were all manipulated by Western powers. So West is lying. They are not pro-democracy. We lost a lot of time becoming more democratic because of the Western manipulated military coups in Turkey. They hate Anatolian periphery, their values, their religion, and they reject it. They don't want to see Muslim democratic countries in Turkey, nor in other Muslim countries. When we democratize, we will reject many of the Western interests in our countries. That's why they oppose democracy in our countries.
And yet the US are so forward, or these Western countries are so pro-democracy. So, okay, so the demographics of Turkey has changed, like you very well pointed out, now that post-AK Party taking over in 2002. We see, as you say, the more rural or Anatolian people are now have risen up, and they are showing their size and their culture, and that's how Turkey is. We must always remember that Turkey is a huge country with over 80 million people, and many people should remember that Turkey is not just made of Istanbul. There's the whole Anatolian side, more than 80% of the whole country. So when you say the US reject this, is it because of fear and they don't understand the people of Anatolia? Or is it because it just has to be their way or no way? I mean,
both.
Okay.
Both. They are puzzled with what's happening. They cannot really evaluate sociopolitics in Turkey. And also, perhaps, they have some scholars who can figure it out. Then it may be intentional. Let me tell you one thing. Starting with the Ottoman Young Turks, people were trying to westernize. They were fond of westernizing. And they tried to impose, let's say, piano in every village, or violin virtuoso in every village. The peasants should like operas. They should love operas. It should be their lifestyle. Now, if you impose this on any nation, it goes nowhere. But if you leave it to evolution, natural evolution in time, also what we say, Turkish democratization, same thing. Today, many Turks love operas. but not because it was imposed on them, because it's the gradual evolution of Turkish taste since nearly 200 years. It happened, yes, but it's not because the young Turks wanted it. This is the difference. Same with democracy. Turkish democratic evolution will be Turkish way, not the Western way. Turkish modernity, Turkish modernization will be the evolution of Turkish modernization, not the Western way.
Right.
Modernization, yes. Westernization, no.
Right.
But we will have a lot from Western civilization. But they should also look for things to take from Chinese civilization, Indian civilization, African, Latin American civilizations. They can take many, many things, especially when it is tired now, after 500 years.
Right. So you're right. Modernization, yes. Westernization, no. Okay, that makes sense to me. I'm sure that makes sense to everybody. At the end of the day, every country has the right to become modern, and every country has the right to modernize itself through its cultures. Okay, now we know that. I mean, any educated person would know that that makes sense. Why do the EU or the US or anyone that has a voice on the international media constantly try to intervene? Is it because they're we said that they're both afraid but it sounds like they're ignorant. I mean, I hate to say that, but it sounds like they just constantly try their luck. Does Turkey or any other countries interfere with what's going on in Guantanamo Bay when we talk about the US? No. So why is there this imbalance in the world?
Now, for Turks, as I said in another Turkish channel, for the Turks, this is something very, very special. It's not like any other country in the world. In Ottoman times, Russians were the protectors of Orthodox in the Balkans. French were the protectors of Catholics and Protestants, whatever, in Beirut, as you may remember. And they used to protest La Porte, Baba Ali. Now, the ambassadors used to come. They used to protest the Ottoman sultans, their consul generals, ambassadors, whatever. They had a great pressure on Ottomans trying to get their citizens or even Ottoman citizens working at the consulates, pressuring Ottoman justice. This is the tradition, historical tradition. They loved it so much, protecting their citizens, so-called. So what now they do is they use human rights and democracy as a political weapon. To double standard political weapon whenever they seem it fit. Not to everybody, to their rivals. If some country is not doing what they say, then they take out the weapon of human rights and democracy. That is what is happening. Now, as we discussed at another TV, what the 10 ambassadors did for Kavala case was an ultimatum like in Ottoman times. And that really hurts Turkey. They said the ultimatum was either to the judge saying, leave him alone. They ordered the judge. If not, then they said to the Turkish president, I don't respect your judges. They take orders from you. They're not independent. So I give the ultimatum to you. You order the judges so that they would leave him alone. So this is arrogance. This denies the sovereignty of a state. And they're so arrogant, still doing it.
Indeed, I mean...
But
You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
the US president can't order the Supreme Court to rule, so why do they think that the Turkish president can order Turkish judges to change their mind? I don't understand.
They can do this anywhere and everywhere in the world. When an American soldier kills somebody in a country, the US gets them back from any country. Any country. They have special agreements. If not agreements, they just ring the arm. I will give you a very good example from Belgium. Once upon a time, Belgium had a law on terrorism. And the USA said, change that law. Not getting one person. They said, change the law. Belgium resisted. And the USA said, okay, I'll remove NATO from your country. Before that, it said, I'll cut the money to NATO. And it will leave your country. So Belgians were so panicked, they changed their law. So the US can do it anywhere and everywhere in the world. That is why they are so used to it, and they think that they can do it anywhere.
Okay. That may be well for Belgium, but Turkey is, let's not forget, the second largest NATO forces in NATO, of course, second to the United States. Turkey is strategically situated, let's say, on the cusp of West Europe or European and the Middle East. It's strategically located right there, you know, in Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. This is such an important region, and with a population of over 80 million, Turkey can't just be messed with like Belgium. I mean, we're not Belgium. Turkey is not Belgium. Turkey is not a country that should even listen, or do you think should even accommodate the EU or the US every time they try and intervene?
Here the point is this. You know, in history, throughout history, there were great powers and there were little powers. Then gradually, little powers tried to go up on the ladder. For instance, think about the Russians. You know, after Tamerlane, the Russians started growing up. So gradually, they asked for a higher position, and they become one of the most powerful empires, and they were accepted among the great powers of Europe. So now, of course, Ottoman was the greatest in magnificent Süleyman's time. But with the Turkish Republic now, it is rising again. And now its place in Europe was among the lowest. Now Turkey is rising and says, I want a higher step in the ladder. Not perhaps like England, Germany, or France.
But why not?
Perhaps
why
like
not?
Spain.
Why not
Spain.
why not like England, Germany, and France?
Not yet. Not yet. They will not accept Turkey at that level. But Turkey wants a step very near to it. And they rejected it. Remember last year? Remember what happened last year with, you know, the S-400s and F-35s, etc. Many people were saying, when Biden comes, Turkey will be finished. With the European Union, they're waiting for Biden, and in March, Turkey will be finished. Many people thought that they were going to finish Turkey, but they understood what Turkey wanted. And now, you know what? They realized Turkey's new power, new level, and Turkey is given a higher place in the ladder of power scala. It is there. It happened. Now we will, of course, work for a higher position among the, you know, the big three, let's say, Britain, France, and Germany. We are eligible for that. but our economic power is not there yet. You know, I think it's very easy for Turkey to jump up to $500 billion in a very near future. Perhaps within 5 years we'll do it. After that, after reaching that level, then I think we will have more respect. Economy is important. Militarily, we have everything. Yes. Historically, we have everything. Civilizational, soft power projection, we have it. But economically, not there yet. It's coming soon. Yeah.
So when we say economically not there yet, I mean, it's one of the fastest growing developing countries in the world. I think it's in the top 5, Turkey. Why not economically yet? Is it because these foreign powers are making a negative impact on Turkey, hence the manipulation of its currency? Could that be a cause?
Manipulation, yes, it's also a political weapon. Yes, but it will not work in the long run. As I said again in another TV, if the West wants, if the global capital wants, it could cripple Turkish economy tomorrow. They can't. They cannot do it. Why cannot they do it? Why don't they do it? The repercussions in the world. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the result of that. Turkey is such a great economy and a country that what happens to the global system, nobody can calculate. That is the reason they cannot go more than what they are doing to Turkey today. That's my personal belief.
Okay. Right, we're running out of time. We've only got a couple more minutes left. Aydin, if you could I mean, you've been an ambassador for Turkey in many countries. Have you seen, in your ambassadorshipness, I guess it's called, have you seen a growing a growing passion, a growing love for Turkey as you spent your time abroad? Or do you think, is Turkey winning hearts, is what I'm trying to ask you?
Love is everywhere. I mean, in the third world, like in Atatürk's time, Turkey is an inspiration, believe me. I have seen, you know, an Egyptian friend. We have, you know, grassroots, we love each other with Egyptians. Politically, these times are transitory times. It'll pass soon. But an Egyptian friend told me, Aydin, you are being so conspicuous as Turkey. Your growth gets so much attention. Please try to hide it. Your enemies should not see this as powerful as they are seeing it today. An Egyptian friend told me this. Everybody sees the Turkish rise, and they're afraid that it would be stopped or Turkey would be harmed. This is an Egyptian friend.
Yeah.
They love us. I have seen this everywhere. Believe me, I see this everywhere. Even today, we have political problems with Egypt. Go to the streets of Egypt and ask people. Any country. And of course, Turkish series, they have a lot of impact.
Indeed.
On our soft power. Oh, yes. TV series. They really do have a lot of impact. The propaganda of Turkish drones is everywhere. Even in the Western countries, NATO countries are starting to buy them.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
I want to have to stop you there, sir. Aydin, thank you so much, Aydin, for joining me here on A News. You and I will talk again soon. I enjoyed our conversation very much. Lots to talk about. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thanks for joining me. Take care and stay safe.
My pleasure. You too. Bye-bye.
There you go, lots going on. And join us every Sunday when we talk in depth about a subject that's close to hearts. Right now, that wraps up this news hour. I'm going to leave you with a look at the world of business.